Right. Hi. Hello. How is everyone? So, this is the video that I've been least wanting to make because the subject matter um, of the graphic novel that I'm going to talk about today is very dark and not something that I think should have been put into a comic book. Essentially, what we're going to be talking about today is Captain America, the New Deal. Basically, Captain America the New Deal. So just to preface, before we go any further, I will be talking about terrorism, 9/11, the Twin Towers, all of that. I kind of have to talk about that to talk about this book, because that's where this book opens on. This book opens on Captain America digging up the rubble and trying to find survivors after the atrocious attack, 9/11. And it is handled well. It's not handled like badly, it's not like offensive or anything, but it is kind of something that shouldn't be put into a world with all these superheroes. You know, you shouldn't really have to put a real world example of a terror attack to explain to kind of preface your story around. I feel like the way that they should have gone about this is they should have had a fictional terror attack happen that Captain America would have to deal with. Of course, if you are going to talk about 9/11 in the way that this book does tackle it, Captain America, of course, is the character you're gonna choose. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense to have a Hulk story based around it, or a Spider-Man story based around it, or an Iron Man story based around it. It makes sense that you have your most political character deal with the most political story. And when I say political, I mean this book is very political. It does get into all the nitty-gritty stuff, and yeah, it's dark, it's depressing. There is no room for humor or anything else there, because it would have felt wrong to interject any humor into this, even light humor. But I feel like I feel like it is just drilled into your head. There's no nuance to it. It's literally like terrorists bad, Americans good, then Americans bad, terrorists worse. And that's the nuance That's the amount of nuance that you're going to get from this story. You're not going to get, like... They do try to make it feel like, yeah, maybe Americans are just as bad. Maybe the American military is just as bad. Maybe they fucked up just as much as terrorists have. Maybe they're as much terrorists in their eyes as they are in the eyes of America. They do try and do that, but it doesn't work. It doesn't really have the effect that I think they were trying to have the effect for. And the latter half of the story is very rushed. Definitely the final issue is very rushed, because it is this kind of we have the setup be 9/11. We have the setup be Captain America's digging up rubble from the attack. He's digging up rubble. He's trying to find people that are alive. He's trying to find survivors. And he doesn't find any. And then it cuts to 7 months later. It's in this completely made up town, and we've got this made up terrorist, and we've got this entirely fictional scenario. But Captain America is still beating himself up on he wasn't there to kind of save the people at the Twin Towers. He wasn't able to save people at the World Trade Center. And that's where my problem comes in. Superheroes aren't real. Stop trying to interject real life scenarios or real life tragedies into a comic book setting with comic book characters. You can have something similar happen in a similar landmark, and you can use that as an allegory for 9/11. But if you have and straight up say September 11th, 2 planes went into each tower of the World Trade Center in Marvel Comics and in the real world, and Captain America wasn't there to stop it, that's kind of doing a disservice to the people that died and the survivors of the real event. That is slapping them in the face. It's basically saying your story is now fiction. Essentially, they do the same thing with the flood in New Orleans, and I have the same problem there, because they're just like, "Oi, Thor, why weren't you there?" And like, "I was dead." Well, that's not good enough. I mean, he was dead, and also it's a real life event. Superheroes can't stop real life events because they're not real. Or can they? I don't know. And I don't know how to talk about this story in a way that doesn't seem like I'm purposefully... It doesn't feel like I hate it, because I don't hate it. It's not bad in any way. It's written well. It just has all the subtlety of a T-Rex with a rocket launcher on its back. It's not subtle in the slightest, and it's very political, which Captain America's always been, and it does something that I always hate in comic books. Like, imagine if take your favourite TV show, that, you know, is fictional. Take your favourite fictional TV show. For example, I'm just going to give an example of Doctor Who. Doctor Who. Imagine if there was an episode of Doctor Who that focused on the 7/7 bombings of the London Underground and a London bus, and the culprit, the terrorist, was an alien or a monster that Doctor Who had to defeat. Would you say that was a good choice, or would you say that's offensive to the people that died, the people that were injured, the people that were hurt, the people that were involved, the families that were involved? Would you say that's an insult to them by putting them in this situation? So why then, if you choose not to do it with TV, why then do so many comic books have to, superhero comic books, why do they have to deal with these situations? And the thing is, it dates this book so harshly by having that real life event in it. It dates this book. It dates any book that chooses to have a president that was president at that time. Just like how it dates a movie when they make references to stuff that's popular at that time, and they use a soundtrack that's popular at that time. But yeah, it's and the thing is, you can't make a movie on this. This is considered to be one of Captain America's best storylines, and it has to be wiped out completely of being like put onto the big screen, put onto a smaller screen, put into any kind of other media, all because of that scene at the start, all because it opens up with something that is real and that affected so many people, and that it's just kind of offensive to put that into a fictional setting, into a fictional world. It is just kind of offensive to do something like that. Again, I have no problem with the writer. The art is not my cup of tea, but it's not bad in any stretch of the imagination. It's not bad. It's good artwork, it's just not my cup of tea. I have nothing against the writer, I have nothing against the artist, I have nothing against, anyone that worked on this book. I just feel like it's a very poor, choice. And you've got to think from the writer's perspective. You've got to write a story about something that is that real, and that happened, so quickly. That happened so quickly. You have no time to actually process the event of what happened before you have to write a book on it. And you have to make it fit in this fictional universe. Now, I don't know about you, but I would struggle. I would struggle, especially if I were like the writer of this, who had, you know, a military background. And the writer himself even said that he struggled to write he had a struggle to write this book because it was so emotionally demanding. And I feel like if you feel drained and you feel like you're not putting your A game into a book because you don't, not that you don't believe in the premise, but because you literally can't write a good story about the premise that you've chosen, and that you're not proud in what you're writing anyway, I feel like you shouldn't publish it. You shouldn't publish something you're not proud of. And that is probably the biggest takeaway of this. You should never publish something that you're not proud of. You have to have pride in your own work before you can let anyone else see that work. Even if it goes up to an editor, or it goes up to someone who's going to make changes to it anyway, you need to be proud of the product that you're trying to sell, because otherwise no one will buy it if they see that the person who made it doesn't believe in it. And if you're going to then put in a eulogy that you didn't feel like you put your A game, or you didn't feel proud of the book that you produced, then I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have produced the work. You shouldn't have published the book in the first place. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's all I have to say about Captain America: The New Deal. Until then, peace.